Are you looking to add more distance and better form out on the disc golf course, but you're tired of chasing discs and losing them out in a huge empty field? Well, check out our friends at visionarydiscgolf.com. VisionaryDiscGolf.com has created the most incredible portable disc golf training net that is specifically designed to be both large enough and strong enough for disc golfers to confidently work on form and accuracy in their backyard or on the go. That means no more knocking over these soccer nets and softball nets that we've been throwing discs in. VisionaryDiscGolf.com has stepped up and created an incredible training tool specifically made for disc golf. Now you can practice your form and accuracy with your drivers, mid-range, and putters right in your backyard. You can use it for home training, field training, tournament or league warm-ups. Guys, this is amazing for coaches and trainers to work with individuals or groups. Check out our friends at visionarydiscgolf.com. If you love throwing discs, you're going to want to check this out. These things are affordable. They're going to be coming out with a bunch of different difficulties, so you only need to buy one base, and they're going to keep creating new nets that are going to be able to help you work on different aspects of your game. VisionaryDiscGolf.com. Check them out. Click the link in the description of this show. We thank them for sponsoring this podcast, and we can't wait to hear about you guys and your experience with these incredible training nets.
Hey everybody, this is the other champ, Barry Schultz, and you're running it with Nate Sexton.
Running It with Nate Sexton is brought to you in part by Innova, the company that drives disc technology forward. Stay tuned for what's next.
Hey disc golf fans, and welcome back to another episode of Running It with Nate Sexton. I am your co-host, Jarett Orr. He is the Innova team captain, and our host, Mr. Nate Sexton. Nate, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm great, man, and at best, I'm a co-host. Let's be real here. We got Jarett. We got Jarett as well, so I'm not going to take the role of host all alone.
You're the one that we all come to hear, man, including myself. I'm just the first fan. I'm just happy to be here and be able to talk some disc golf. And especially during the off season, man, I get this itch. So I'm excited to get these shows back.
Yeah, me too, man. And everything's great here as usual. You know, we played a little disc golf today. Can't beat it. There was even a little sunshine. I love it.
A disc golf's looking bleak for me for the future here. We've got a lot of snow on the ground. Although I did get roped into this winter league, and we went out there and literally left my house where there's 18 inches of snow, drove probably like a half an hour to where the course was, and there was grass there. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I totally lucked out with that. But other than that, it's gonna be a tough go for a little while here. But at least you're getting the weather up there in the Pacific Northwest. Now, Nate, I get excited about every show. Every single week we have a guest. We get to talk some disc golf and hear about. I'm super excited about today's guest. It's one that has been it's been a long time in the coming. Nate, who are we running it with today?
We're lucky today. We've got a one-time major winner, an 11-time Elite Series winner, and in my opinion, you know, if disc golf ever gets over them mountains to the promised land, this is probably the guy driving the train that pulls us over the top of the mountain. It's Mr. Eagle McMahon. How you doing, Eagle?
How's it going, guys? Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. You're a often requested name, as you might expect, to get you on the show and get a little background on your disc golf journey and your career so far, and just kind of hear what you're up to.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, man. So where are you for the off season? You're in Colorado now?
Yep. I am currently at my house, actually. I'm a homeowner, so, you know, I probably have about 2 or 3 weeks on the house so far, and, you know, anyone who's moved into a new place knows that, you know, it's awesome, but also there's a lot to be done. So, you know, essentially a lot of my focus is going towards, you know, getting things where I want them to be at the new home.
Wow, man, that's news to me. Congratulations. Where, in Boulder or where?
It's actually in, you know, just a little bit outside of Boulder. And, you know, it's in Louisville. And
Okay.
for those of you who don't, some people may have been paying attention. There was a massive wildfire here,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was I was evacuated. So that was pretty intense. I spent a week at my house, and then all of a sudden, I'm evacuating, and I'm scared that I'm going to lose my house to, just this complete catastrophe. But luckily, I kept my home. Everything was fine. But if you go like a quarter mile, in either direction of me, it looks like a scene out of the movie, just complete destruction. And my heart goes out to my community. I'm pretty blessed that I was able to keep my house.
Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. We had some of that in Oregon last fire season. I saw on some article that Colorado had 115 mile an hour winds that were blowing these fires up. Like, were you experiencing like winds that could knock down a house? Like, or was that more localized somewhere else?
No, it was that. In the Boulder area, there was gusts over 80 miles per hour, and then like once you got out to kind of more the plains, and kind of depends where you're at.
Yeah.
But there was gusts recorded over 115 miles per hour, and that's a big red flag. Literally when it comes to fires, just because something sparks, and this we actually didn't really have any moisture. Up until the day after the fire, the winds were that strong because it was blowing in a front. So, it was actually gone on record of the longest it's ever been without like snowfall in the Front Range area. So everything was bone dry, and it just kind of ended up being the perfect storm, and really just turned out to be a complete disaster.
Yeah, really scary. And definitely heart goes out to the people that were affected most by that. That's crazy, but I'm glad that your brand new property was spared at least. But wow, that is scary stuff. No question.
Now I want to edit out my part about the 18 inches of snow. It doesn't sound that bad. I complained about a little snow, and the Eagles like 115 mile an hour winds. Just everything's decimated. The snow's not that bad. I don't feel.
Yeah, well, we'll take your snow. We need the moisture.
Man, well, as we kind of think about talking about your beginnings in disc golf, the first place I feel like I got to reference people is to this amazing documentary that Jomez and you kind of collaborated on, the Eagles Trail. I thought it was fantastic. Was that pretty fun to make? And it's so cool that you had all that home video footage to kind of see a lot of little shots of you playing as like a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old or whatever age you were back then. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool process, because that's not really the thing that you'd expect to come out of disc golf. Like normally it's what is shooting into the bags, and it's like telling what people how you throw certain shots, and then to have Jomez come to me and want to essentially showcase a big part of my story of growing up was super cool. And shout out to Jomez, shout out to Brian Geis, who was kind of the visionary on the project. I made a few videos, and he saw that I had like this old footage, and he kind of found that we do this trail every year that goes around the perimeter of my hometown in Boulder. So he thought that would be a really good narrative for storytelling, and he just expanded upon that, and we got to create this documentary that showcases what disc golf is to me, the people who helped me get to where I am, my relationship with my dad. So all of that was just super meaningful, and it's really cool that it was able to be shared on such a big platform.
Yeah,
in the disc golf community.
Yeah, and anybody who hasn't seen that, if that's possible, definitely check out Jomez Pro's YouTube to find that. It's like 30-40 minutes. Really interesting stuff, and some cool footage, and some really funny footage of a very young Eagle ripping some shots that were pretty far even back in those days. But yeah, man, I think that was one of my biggest takeaways, was how important your relationship with your dad is. Obviously, you lost your mom at a young age, which was really unfortunate. Is it fair to say, in my interactions with you and your dad is that your dad is your biggest supporter and maybe also your toughest critic at the same time.
Yeah, I would say that's fairly accurate. My dad is a diehard sports fan. You know, when it comes to watching the Denver Nuggets or Dallas Cowboys, or even watching me on the disc golf course. So, but he definitely, when I have my victories, he definitely is the person who's happiest to see me win. So, you know, having him there to, you know, tell me what I did wrong, but in a very constructive way. He's not the crazy sports dad who, you know, goes off on their kid for, you know, doing something wrong. He offers, you know, constructive criticism, you know, 99 times out of 100. But then, you know, when I bring home that trophy, he's the first one to be the happiest.
Yeah, and I mean, he's quite a good player, right? I mean, he's had his share of, he's had some Open victories, right?
Yeah, you know, he kind of has stopped competing. You know, as he's gotten older, you know, he just kind of took a step back from disc golf to, you know, do some other things, and also, you know, he found that he got a little too competitive, and he kind of just wanted to enjoy disc golf for what it is. But the coolest stat was, at one point, me and my dad were in the 990s together, and that's essentially I went towards 1,000, and he kind of went towards 980, and you know, we went our separate ways on the rating scale. But you know, that was that kind of showcases you know, where our skill levels were at, and you know, what kind of players we are at the time.
Yeah, as they say, father time undefeated. Difficult to keep that rating up as you get older, but yeah, obviously a great player. 990 is a really, really strong rating, so you know he knows what he's talking about, at least. Even if he hasn't thrown 700-foot shots, he knows the strategy of the game, and he can see, you know, where you might have gone wrong in certain situations. So definitely a great guy to have for you to help you out in the low moments and to celebrate the high moments. That's awesome. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about, we talked about this in Arizona one time, about your upbringing as well, is your path through education, because you didn't really do like a traditional public school. In fact, your dad and you told me that you considered yourself unschooled, which I had never heard that term before. Explain to us kind of what that means and what your upbringing was like from like an education standpoint.
Yeah. So if anyone's, you know, curious about, you know, this on a little bit more broad detail, I highly recommend you go check out the Eagles Trail if you have not on Jomez. But, you know, to run you through it, essentially when I was born, my mom was kind of the visionary behind this concept. You know, being from Boulder, Colorado, and you know, if you see my grandparents and my family, that you know, they're kind of alternative thinkers. So you know, I was essentially homeschooled all my life, but you know, another branch of homeschooling is unschooling, and kind of the philosophy behind that is, you know, it's kind of ingrained in, you know, humans to learn, and everyone learns at their own pace. So, you know, essentially I had a curriculum that I followed, and, you know, I had, you know, my grandparents, my mom, my dad, you know, telling me what to do. But, you know, essentially, you know, it's a lot looser curriculum compared to, you know, what's in a normal school. So I kind of just learned at my own pace and kind of went towards what my interests were. And, you know, as, you know, I started playing disc golf when I was 9 years old. You know, anything past that, I kind of, you know, was able to make more time to disc golf and, you know, whatever else my interests were. So I feel like, you know, that's kind of an unfair advantage that I got to a lot of other kids to, you know, essentially, you know, hone my craft and essentially turn that into my career. So
you and Wysocki both, I think.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because he kind of had he was homeschooled, and he's like, yeah, I was pretty young, but I was playing 4 hours a day, you know, or whatever it was, you know, when he was, once he got his schoolwork done. But yeah, man, that's cool. I feel like, and you're going to remember this better than me, I think, because you're so much younger than I am, and your career is not quite as long just yet. But I think it was 2017, and that's kind of when I feel like I got to know you a little bit better, because you kind of came along with Paul and I to Europe. Is that the right year, do you think?
It was 2016.
2016. See, I knew I could count on you. But yeah, we went. You kind of UC hooked you up with us, and you kind of like shared hotels with us, and we all rode around together and did the whole Europe thing, and we did some. I I feel like we must have done some McBeast challenges, right? Where we taught some clinics and we did some autograph signings and stuff like that.
Yeah, from what I remember, we did maybe like a 2 or 3 week trip over to Europe, and the first part of that trip was over in Finland, and that was pretty much all McBeast challenges, and it kind of gave me an opportunity to go have yourself and Paul show me the ropes over in Europe. So we did that, and then we headed over to Sweden. We took an overnight ferry over the Baltic Sea.
That was fun.
To play the European Masters, which took place at Järva Disc Golf Park. So yeah, that was my first time ever to Europe. It was super cool because that was essentially like my second year on the kind of the pro tour.
Yeah.
So
How old were you?
I just turned 18 that year. So I was like, going to Europe and touring still is super exciting to me, but I was like super big-eyed on everything. Like, I definitely was, starstruck going to Europe with Paul McBeth and Nate Sexton. So that was, definitely a really cool moment and also a pivotal moment in my disc golf career.
Nice, man. Yeah, I remember your eyes getting pretty big when those Finns were trying to force you to drink a drink about as big as your head on the boat.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh man.
Oh man. Yeah. Good times though. That was really fun.
Hey, it was legal over there.
Yeah, no, it was legal. It wasn't nothing shady going on, but that drink was very tropical and very large from what I remember.
Tropical. Yep, very tropical.
All right, cool, man. Well, yeah, the one thing that I kind of remember from that, spending that time with you, especially in a foreign place, was the restrictions that your diet poses for you as you're trying to travel. For one, I want to get the update on what your diet is these days, but also just kind of hear some tips and hear some of the challenges you have. Because I remember you eating in Sweden. We walked over and you were just having pasta with a ton of black pepper on it. That was it. No sauce, just hammering it with black pepper and just eating dry pasta. I mean, it was cooked, but it was just no sauce, no nothing. Just the most black pepper I've ever seen a human use.
Oh, man, I remember that, too. Yeah, that was right over by the hotel.
Yep.
Yeah, so, there's definitely a bunch of restrictions. And so, for those who don't know, I followed, I still do. I'll get to that a little bit later. But at the time, a vegan diet. So that essentially means no animal products of any kind, no dairy, no eggs, no meat. So, that's going to present some challenges. But most places in the world, you can find stuff if you go to a grocery store, and you kind of have to have like a knowledge of how to cook. Because, you're going to have to go to the grocery store, and you're going to have to be able to know what's going to taste good and also how you're going to get your nutrition. So it's a little bit more complicated than, just going out to a restaurant and then getting whatever. But essentially, going to new places, you're most handcuffed, or it's going to be the most difficult for like a plant-based person to find something to eat if you're going to like most places that everyone else is going, like, just a bar or, a burger place. Cause then you're going to really have to like eat a super, basic or like singular ingredient meal. So like, for example, I was eating pasta with nothing on it but black pepper. But, if you go to more like, Asian style, Indian style restaurants, then you're going to be way more likely to find something that, not going to be so, simple. But yeah, that was one of many times where I had to, make a sacrifice to eat something extremely simple and, honestly, kind of weird to a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's toughest over there, I feel like, in Europe because, renting a car abroad is expensive and, like, kind of complicated. And all those European tournaments, they do a pretty good job of either having a shuttle service or having our tournament hotel so close to the venue like it was for Järva that we could just walk to our tee times, which is awesome until you need to, like, go to the right type of restaurants. And all we had was walking. So that I remember that being kind of a tricky week for you.
Yeah, for sure. I remember eating a lot of falafel because that's what was at the course, and luckily they had something at Järva. But a lot of the times when I'm, abroad or, in a kind of a tricky situation, that I just rely on grocery stores. And, in the later years when I became more successful, I realized that, my diet was kind of holding me back to a certain extent. And, the way I was traveling, and I just kind of took control of it more and was able to, really, get the type of food I needed, and kind of, prioritize going to, more healthy style vegan restaurants. And I've noticed a huge increase in performance when I'm eating, the right thing, opposed to, just random pasta and like granola bars.
Sure. And so right now, would you call yourself vegan, or has it morphed a little bit?
It's morphed a little bit. I'm plant. I consider myself probably 90 to 95 plant-based. I'm a little bit more relaxed on what I eat. That still doesn't include any dairy, no meat. I have incorporated just maybe a little bit of fish into the diet, here and there to, maybe get some different types of protein, omega-3s, and some of the stuff that's not as easily found in plant sources. Not to say that you can't do it, because I did, but I just wanted to make it a little bit easier on myself. And, essentially going so many different places, if I can open up my options a little bit, it makes things a lot easier on me.
Yeah, maybe a little honey occasionally, or?
Yeah, I'm eating honey.
There we go.
Really what it comes down to is like the sources of it. Like,
yeah,
to the average person, I'm still going to be vegan, but like, I got to find some like, really high quality honey, or some, wild caught fish, things along those lines. And, chances are I might not even eat it then. It's just basic. It's kind of, whenever I feel the need to do it. So, still for the most part, plant-based diet's essentially the same, but there is a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, cool. Makes great sense.
So excited to introduce Rogue Discs to our listeners. Guys, check them out on their website, roguediscs.com, or you can just scroll down in the description of this show, and Anna will be nice enough to put a link right there for you to click and get on there. Nate, this website is awesome. When you get on the website, they've got the dynamic flow chart set up. You can put the specifics to the kind of disc that you like, and they will go ahead and show you all the discs that fit into the speeds and the fade and everything that you want there. They've got more than 20,000 discs and over 600 mold and plastic combinations in stock. They've got some awesome new hand warmers for those of us on my side of the country that are trying to get out there and play in the cold. Check out roguediscs.com. And Nate, for our listeners, there got to be a way to save them a little bit of money, right?
Oh yeah, we got our code RUNIT10, 10% off your first purchase. I just want to thank them for coming on board. It's awesome to have them working with us, and also say it's definitely hand warmer season over here as well. So I'm looking forward to trying those out. These are the electric ones you can recharge. I've been going through the Costco pack. I'm generating trash. I don't need to do that. I'm going to get digital with my hand warmer technology.
Nate Sexton stepping his game up, guys. So roguediscs.com, and we thank them for sponsoring this podcast.
Let's skip ahead, I guess, to 2017 Aussie Open. I want to talk about that one. I know you kind of had the GBO as a little bit of a coming out party a couple years before that. By 2017, you're established pro. You already came to Europe with Paul Macbeth and Nate Sexton, so you knew almost everything there was to know. And then you're there in Australia, and you had a great battle with Ricky Wysocki, where you guys were just averaging incredible round ratings, pushing up near 1070. What do you remember about that tournament? You ended up losing by 1, but what do you remember about it?
Yeah, this is definitely one that sticks out in my memory. It's kind of you got to take the good with the bad, and I've definitely, it's been a teeter-totter. I've definitely thought, it was more of a negative than a positive at times, but it definitely kind of shaped who I was as a player and who I am as a player, from that moment. But like the overall experience going to Australia was so cool. And, I've noticed that if I'm excited about the place I'm going to, I'm probably going to, have a better time there, which is going to lead me to, play at a higher level. And Australia was no exception. Traveling, across the world to play disc golf, that made me feel like a superstar. Like that was the first time that I felt like, all right, I'm one of the elite players. And after playing that tournament, seeing my name at the top of the leaderboard for a major, and going to the last couple of holes, like people are expecting me to win. I was actually winning that tournament 71 out of the 72 holes in the last hole.
I remember it.
Ricky gets me by one, and I've definitely had some nightmares about that. I still do, but luckily, in the future, I can kind of resolve that pain and come through at the end.
Yeah, and it didn't take you that long to get the major win, because it was the very next year, 2018. Be hard to have a nightmare about this place, I'm guessing, for you, because at Konopiste that year, I mean, dominant is the word for it. You shot a 1067 average. You were just kind of going course record from what I imagine, or what I remember. I feel like you beat me by nearly 20, and I was still in the top 10. That one must be a much more fond memory, and you kind of just hit your groove in an incredible way. That course sets up so well for you with not a lot of risk to scare you off of going full gas off the tee pads, right? So you were able to just get way down there.
Yeah. It's been so long since I played that course, but what I remember on it, there's not a lot of out of bounds, but there's a lot of scoreable shots. And if you look at some of my finishes, I feel like I play kind of the birdie or die style courses pretty well when it comes to like the Memorial, Vegas, and Konopiste, because I think I had to go 16 under, 14 under. So if you're not putting up these crazy low scores, then you're not going to really be able to compete on those courses. And for whatever reason, I'm able to kind of play those courses pretty well. So a lot of birdies out there, and I was just able to get on a good find some grooves on every single round and bring home a major victory, which is definitely really cool to say, because not a lot of players have that accolade.
Yeah, for sure. And it was right about that time when I remember you saying in some interviews that you were setting out to play Sexton golf, which I take to mean sort of a calculated style where you're like picking your spots. And I took that as a huge compliment. And I have two questions for you about that. For one, do you feel like it worked? And number two, is it too late for me to start playing McMahon golf?
All right, let's answer the first one. Yeah, so it was actually in 2017, I felt like my game was so unrefined. It was crazy. I was going for everything. If you were to look at my UDisc stats, I think my OB rate was just absolutely ridiculous, and I was tired of it. And I just realized, okay, if I clean this up, I can save like 10 strokes a tournament, which puts me in the top 10 almost every time, and even have a chance at winning. And I said, okay, that's gonna be my focus for 2018. And essentially, that was exactly what I needed to do. And I had the first or second best scramble rate off the tee, or I don't know off the tee, but scramble rate. My OB rate went way down, and I became a consistent top 10 golfer, and I was also competing for the win at a lot of events. So yeah, I would say that Sexton golf was pretty successful.
I remember what first came out of my mouth when I heard you say that was, oh well, I'll never win again. Because if this guy, if my secret's out and this guy starts trying to play like me, but he goes 100 feet farther on every shot, it's going to be tough to beat him. And it turned out to be true.
Well, the thing is, the last year and the year before, I feel like I kind of need to incorporate a little bit more Sexton golf in my game. I've kind of gotten a little sloppy.
Hey man, it's all a cycle. You get aggressive. Sometimes it works, then you got to dial it back. You know that. So yeah. Hey, I'm gonna keep taking it as a compliment. If it worked for you, that's awesome. And I think we all know the answer about me playing McMahon golf. That's gonna be tough. Some of those lines, I just am not sure I'm gonna be hitting those anytime soon or anytime in the past. If I had a time machine, I don't think it would help me much.
So whatever self expectations you have of yourself, then you can go with those.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, man. Well, I got some really cool statistics here that I want to run by you. This is all courtesy of Statmando. Those guys put this together for me today, and I think it's pretty interesting. This is a table that I've got right in front of me, and I'll quote you a couple stats off of it. This is Eagle McMahon and Paul McBeth, their statistics aged 8,673 days, which is exactly how old you are today, my friend. So this is Paul McBeth at your exact age. What kind of statistics was he able to put up? Kind of take a look at both of your early career trajectories, because I feel like you don't get enough credit for because you're as young as you are. We've forgotten how young you are because you've been so good for quite a few years now. And you almost don't get credit for being like one of the young guys, but you really still are, only 23 years old. So I want to kind of highlight that and take a look at you versus Paul. Pretty interesting stuff. You have played 169 pro tournaments, and McBeth had played 175. You both have exactly 100 podium finishes so far. You both have played 18 majors. So this comparison is pretty sweet because your statistics are really similar from that standpoint. In terms of major wins, I think he's got you. It's 4-1. Major podiums 4-4. Major top 10s, you have the edge. 14 top 10s out of 18 starts for you, which is fantastic. And McBeth has 8 to your 14. So that's pretty big swing in your favor in terms of consistency up there in the top 10. Obviously, I think, with the state of the game these days, you're crushing them in all the cash won totals. You've cashed for $221,000 to his $135,000 through these early seasons in your career, which amounts to kind of an interesting thing to think about when you're out there. You're getting paid $7.70 per throw so far in your career. Not bad.
Okay, nice.
Those bogeys, those are nice. That's like good money in a bogey. A birdie is only getting you $15, but a bogey, that's $30.
All right.
So you got to think about some of that. As far as Elite Series, you've played way more because there are way more, I think. 62 for you to only 38 for Paul. 11 wins for you, 9 for him. Your percentages on the podium pretty similar. And yeah, man, what do you think? I think it's fairly close. I mean, you haven't quite cracked through on those majors, but I just feel like that's coming for you if you can keep going. I think those those doors are going to open up. And the other thing I think is that every time you hear people try to compare McBeth and Climo, one of the first arguments that comes out is it was easier back in Climo's day. And there's nothing that says you can't use that argument against Paul now, because it's a different time now than it even was in 2012, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the worst person when it comes to speculating on this and comparisons, because like you just said, I feel like there's so many different factors, and I appreciate you and Statmando giving me those. Those are definitely some cool stats for the fans.
Yeah.
And I like hearing them too. To say that at my age I got more wins than McBeth. In terms of Elite Series, that's a bit of a confidence booster.
For sure.
Obviously, it's a little bit different because one thing is I feel like we're kind of at a unfortunate deficit of majors.
Yeah.
When Paul won 5 majors in 2015, how many other years has there been 5 majors?
Last year there was just 2.
Yeah, or 2020 there was just 1 essentially with just the USDGC. So I'm not getting as many chances, which is kind of unfortunate. But due to the obvious circumstance, COVID. But I'd like to see in the future at least 4 majors a year just to help me get closer to those McBeth stats.
Yeah, for sure. But though you have both played 18 majors, exactly, to this age.
Oh, okay.
So at least that's even though there has been, you both missed out on a couple lately, because obviously McBeth is still quite a problem at those majors, even at the ripe old age of 31 or whatever he is these days. But yeah, man, I just thought that was interesting. It's fun to look at and see the trajectory you're on, because obviously you got a long career ahead of you, and I think we're all excited to see where you stack up when you're into your 30s. But yeah, man, just interesting stuff. I wanted to see what you thought. Let's see. What do we got next? I wanted to ask, or I kind of wanted to think, I guess this is another good question because this is about you in the future. I want to get your take on this one. I feel like you've pushed the limits of what's possible in disc golf, you and some other guys. I'm not saying you've done it all by yourself, but I expect you're still going to show us a lot more in the coming years with your game and what you're able to do with distance and the consistency you have on the putting green. It is, however, inevitable that someday you'll be 30 or 35 and you'll be playing in a tournament and you'll be grouped up with a 19-year-old kid who you're going to beat by a lot, but he's going to do a couple things that blow your mind, and that's just going to happen. And it's hard for me to imagine from where I'm sitting what he could possibly do that would blow your mind. Like, is it more distance? Is it a crazy putt? Is it throwing just as far left-handed as he does right-handed? What do you think is coming that's going to supplant you from the top of disc golf eventually, and you're going to be like, holy cow, the kids today? Like, what skill set do you think that could possibly be?
Well, before answering this question, I'm going to do as much as I can to prevent that from happening.
Of course.
Shout out to Seth at Disc Golf Strong. Hopefully he can, help, protect me from those kids in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I said you're going to beat them. Don't worry. You're going to beat them still,
Well,
but it's just going to be one hole.
I want
whoa.
I want to hang with him in most cases, but
yeah,
to what you're saying, one of the things you said was throwing left-handed as far as a right-hand shot, assuming that right-handed is dominant. I think that's something that's coming in disc golf that's going to blow a lot of people's mind. The ambidextrous, just being able to, throw left-hand essentially in place of a sidearm because.
Yeah.
I think, sidearm's great, but it's tough on the body. And also you kind of max out on a lot of distance, and just the mechanics of throwing left-handed is it's the same backhand. Same as with backhand, you're able to get a lot more distance. So I think if you can translate that to the left side of your body, that's going to allow players to do some crazy things, especially, the new crop of talent who, start when they're 8 years old and throw, equally far with both hands. Then you're going to just see some crazy things in the future.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they had the forehand also with both hands? I mean, I almost feel like a dead straight 250-foot shot would start to get confusing. If you had lefty righty backhand and lefty righty forehand and they're all dialed.
I think it's coming in the future. I mean, I'm trying to develop it.
Nice.
I think that's going to be something that'll be, fun to showcase. I got some work to do still, but it's on the back burner. It's simmering right now.
Nice.
Maybe I'm left-handed. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong this whole time. I've been going out there throwing righty. Meanwhile, the lefty's dialed in, and I haven't even tried it yet.
You're not listening, Jarett. It's both. You need to be both. Lefty's not going to get it done.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe in general that's what the issue is. It's got to be something.
It might win you the Winter League. Maybe the left hand could win you the Winter League, but you're not getting up there on the podium but the majors until you go both-handed. You heard it here first. Cool. Well, yeah, I was interested what you thought about that because I just feel like from my perspective, it's kind of like, wow, that like you parked a 700-foot air shot recently at that match play thing, and it's just incredible. And you just think, there's no way. Where's the ceiling of this game? And there just isn't a ceiling. And it's just fun to imagine the next crop and the guy who throws even farther than you, and all those guys are coming, and it's just fun and exciting to think about.
Well, the thing is, I'll add on top of this is when I grew up, I had Climo, I had Nate Doss, I had Avery Jenkins, and then, as I got a little older, I saw Simon Lizotte, and I kind of saw those players as the guys I needed to model my game after. So as soon as someone starts throwing ambidextrous and, throws these crazy shots, throws cut rollers, that's going to be the person a young kid watches.
Yep. And
it starts incorporating those shots in the game. He'll realize, okay, if I want to be like said person, I got to practice these shots. As to where, when I was, growing up, I wasn't even practicing left-handed or anything like that. So, that puts me at a little bit of a behind the learning curve. So that's how, progression is going to keep taking place in the future. You're just going to, you do the work, but then the young kids they're like sponges. They just take everything in, and then the cycle will continue. And then, 10, 20 years down the line, the players will be, 1080, 1090 rated, and, it'll be crazy to see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to be just a course designer and just going like, wow, can they really do this? Like what it'd just be fun to try to stump you and the guys coming after you. That'll be fun. I'm gonna see what I can do. Okay, this next one. I've often cited you when I make this argument, because I feel like when you first came onto the scene, you didn't really have this cannon forehand. That wasn't really one of your things, and now it obviously is, like 450-foot flip-up forehands. And I've often said, being a pretty both-way player where I can throw the backhand and the forehand both fairly well, that if you're the type of athlete that has high arm speed, it should work on both sides of your body. And that a guy like a Drew Gibson, there is a huge forehand in there somewhere if he puts in the time. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I don't really know the full potential, because the thing is, I've thrown forehand for a long time. Let's just say this, I've thrown it enough as a kid to develop it over the years. I don't know if that's the case for everybody.
Yeah.
And, I think you got to have some muscle memory, and you could definitely work on stuff. Everyone's different. Everyone's genes are different. Everyone has a different ceiling, and they don't know what they're fully capable of. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Drew put in some work, and then all of a sudden we start seeing a 400, 450 forehand, just because, he has that rotational torque.
Yeah. Yeah, that always made sense to me, that if you're a powerful athlete on the backhand, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why that wouldn't translate given the work. And I get it. It's like, it's hard work, and there's the risk of injury, and, there's nothing wrong with being a backhand dominant player by any stretch. But I always just sort of thought, yeah, Eagle, I mean, I know you've been throwing the forehand since you were little, but I just feel like that was sort of when the world was first introduced to you, you weren't really throwing these cannon forehands as much as you do now. Does that feel accurate to you? I feel like we didn't know you had that until a little bit later.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate, and a lot of it came with when we brought out the Cloud Breaker.
Sure.
I felt like, when I first signed with Discmania, I was kind of forced to throw a PD2, which for those who don't know is like a really overstable disc. I didn't really get that much distance out of it, but as soon as I started finding the right discs, it kind of allowed me to, develop this flip up forehand. So for a long time, I don't think I could have incorporated my game a little bit sooner, but I don't really feel like I had the tools. Plus, being here in Colorado, everything's so wide open, for the most part, that I just threw spike hyzer backhands and never really found the need for a forehand. So it just it gradually developed as, I realized, okay, this would be a very useful shot.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Without a doubt, every single week in my disc golf league, there's somebody that pulls out a dyed disc out of their bag, and everybody sits and they look at it and they examine it, and it's this big thing, and I've always wanted to be that guy. Now I am that guy because of my friends over at Greasy Dyes. That's Greasy with a Z, Dyes. GreazyDyes.com. Guys, you owe it to yourself to go check out this website. Here's a guy that does amazing custom dye jobs. These are work of art on plastic, and they're affordable, which means you can take it, you can throw it in your bag, and you can be the guy at league showing off your awesome custom dye. Visit GreazyDyes.com. Use code RUNIT10. You guys already know. Save yourself a little bit of money, but do yourself a favor and check out Greasy Dies on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Guys, the dye jobs on these discs are amazing. When we came across him and we started talking, I knew that if we were going to recommend a custom dyer, it was going to be Greasy Dies on this show. GreazyDyes.com, code RUN@10, save yourself some money, and get that awesome dyed disc in your bag and be the star of next week's league or the next round that you're out there on the disc golf course.
I feel like among all the touring players, you do as much, if not more, work on your body and your mental kind of game and mental coaching. I know you've interacted with professionals in like sports psychology and mental training and stuff. And obviously you shouted out Seth at Disc Golf Strong, who's helping you as well. How important, I mean, I know you're going to say really important, but talk to us a little bit about how important that has been for you.
It's the reason why my game took a drastic turn for the better in 2018. One of the coolest experiences of my life was going to Switzerland in the first month of 2018 to train with my teammate Simon Lazat. Discmania, put us both in a training camp, and essentially what that told me was how I needed to start viewing disc golf. Because before, I was this talented kid who, threw far, but like I said, 2017, I needed to incorporate Sexton golf. I was all over the place. I was unrefined, but just that discipline of waking up, going to the gym, going on a run, putting down my goals, that was kind of the tipping point for me to, become a real disc golf athlete. Before, I was just a talented kid. So ever since 2018, I feel like my goals in the off season were more clear. I needed to train, and that doesn't mean go putt for 5 hours. That doesn't mean go throw for 5 hours in the field. Like, that's very valuable at a certain point in your disc golf career. But as you progress, there's only marginal returns because you've done it all before. Once the muscle memory's there, you're not going to really improve on it too much. There's other ways that you can become better. And I believe that's in the gym. I believe that's, putting down your goals. I believe that's meditating. I believe there's plenty of other ways to become a better athlete, and also within that, a better person, which I think those go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think especially with the power you're throwing and the rigorous touring schedule, I mean, the physical work just to have the resistance to injury, I think is so important. To be able to have a nice long career and be there week in and week out competing for those top spots. If you're not putting in that kind of work, I think you're way more likely to, be sitting out months at a time because you hurt yourself.
Yeah, the sport of disc golf is really interesting. And if you talk to Seth at Disc Golf Strong and get some other opinions from players, I think the closest parallel sport to disc golf is honestly baseball when it comes to schedule and what the cadence of the game, what we ask out of our bodies, we're throwing, and
like
with
pitchers specifically, perhaps.
Exactly. And a pitcher, he pitches a game and then doesn't pitch again for the next 5 days. And with being a disc golfer, I mean, you go out and you're throwing practice shots, you're throwing 15, 24 hands around every day. So, and a lot of the time, you're not really getting a chance to get the gym. You're not getting perfect nutrition like a lot of the athletes are. You're not getting the physical therapy. So you kind of have to take it upon yourself. And what it is, it's a lot of discipline. And, I try to do it, and I feel like I do a decent job, but I'm always trying to get better. And I have goals to, increase my discipline out on the tour so I can become more injury resistant, but also increase my performance.
Yeah, man. Wow. You got somebody spying on me or something? Because you just said 15 to 20 forehands a day, not really going to the gym and not having the greatest nutrition. Sounds like you've been watching me.
No comment.
Oh, cool, man. Well, you said writing down your goals. That kind of leads me into another thing I wanted to ask you about. Kind of getting to the end of my questions here. I don't want to keep you too long, but at this point in your career, how do you approach goal setting as we look forward to 2022 and beyond? I'm kind of curious what kind of season it would take for you to feel successful when there's really like no visible ceiling in sight for your skills when you're out there playing these tournaments.
So this is a question that I ask myself a lot, and it's tough because I gotta truly just ask myself, because looking at expectations of me can get a little bit stressful, because there's been so many times where, you know, you have the Instagram post and people are saying, oh, who's going to win worlds in, you know, 2022 or whatever year it is, or, you know, who's going to do well at this tournament. And then, you know, they're picking your name. And then if you read it, then you see someone else's name, and then you get kind of stressed out. And, you know, a little bit of that's good because it can help light a fire, but you don't want that to dictate what you actually want. So what I try to do is, you know, kind of keep my head out of, you know, social media, what, you know, everyone expects out of me, and just kind of turn inward to what I want to do. And I like winning just as much as the next guy. For me, winning means that my hard work paid off. And what I want to do is work hard and be proud of that. And even if that doesn't mean winning, then I want to know that I gave it my best shot. And what that is training, you know, being mindful on my practice round, showing high levels of discipline, you know, going to bed at the right time. So a successful 2022 for me would be essentially focusing on everything that I can control. And I believe that if I do that, then that's going to, you know, correlate to good finishes and essentially, you know, me having a great season.
Yeah, I think that's a wise way to go about it. I often think to myself that the only goal, sometimes I try to convince myself that the only goal I have is to throw a shot that I can be proud of. And that doesn't even necessarily mean it's parked. It just means that I hit it hard, or I, you know, focused on my aim point, and I just like commit through the shot or the putt or whatever. But I try to make the goals simple like that and kind of abstract, where it's not like you have to win this or you have to, you know, check these boxes. It's more just like, you know, go out there and give it your all is kind of what it boils down to.
And that's extremely tough. Like that's pretty. It's a pretty idealist way of looking at things, but I like to have that as kind of the underlying narrative, because I definitely get lost in, you know, knowing that there's a world champion on the line, like a world championship on the line. I definitely did that in Utah, and I kind of, you know, got my eyes too big, and I kind of lost, you know, sight of that underlying goal that I had. So it definitely, you know, is elusive, but as long as you can remind yourself of it and, you know, strive towards that way of thinking, I think that's what's ultimately important.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, man, I got really only one more question for you, and that's just pretty simple. In your mind today, what's your biggest strength and your biggest weakness out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. My biggest strength, I think, is if I put my mind to something, I feel like I can achieve it pretty good. But also, it's a double-edged sword. My biggest weakness is kind of the same thing. It's my own head. If I psych myself out or think I can't do something, or, you know, have doubt, then that's going to be my greatest enemy.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think that's about all I have. I look forward to seeing you out there. Jarett might have a question for you as well. I'm pretty sure I'll see you on the first tee in Vegas probably, right? If they're still doing the last four champions thing. So I'll probably be looking forward to playing my first competitive round of the year with you.
That'd be sweet. I can't wait.
Yeah, so I will see you there, man. And I don't know, Jarett, you got anything for him, or can we let this guy go?
Yeah, we're gonna let him go. I just have to. I got to address the elephant in the room here, because having Eagle on the phone or having Eagle on the call here with us is like watching the big blue chip quarterback in college football. Even though Eagle's been in the pros and has been doing it for so long, we know that we're talking to the next millionaire in disc golf at some point. It's coming. Eagle, watching these big contracts getting signed and all of these things. I mean, I think Nate mentioned it earlier. We forget that you're still a baby in this sport. I mean, it seems like it was like 10 years ago they're dropping a watermelon on you for Santa Cruz Miss, but like you're 23 years old. You've got a long way to go. These contracts are getting big. It's got to be exciting watching this come and knowing that you're probably the next one to get that payday.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the sport seeing Paul, Ricky get these huge contracts, because it just shows that what we do is legitimate, and it gives us something to work towards. It gives me something to work towards. It gives the kids over in Finland something to work towards. The kids here, so it's all really exciting, and I feel like I have a place in it, and essentially what it comes down to is I still have to go out there and do the work. I got to make it happen. But having that, some of that as an incentive definitely helps. I'm not in it for the money, but it definitely helps sometimes.
Yeah, man, you're a homeowner now.
Yeah, I want to be able to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you deserve that much. Definitely.
I have a feeling you're not going to have any issues doing that for quite some time now with the direction that the sport is heading in. Now, Nate, I got to ask you, because you had mentioned some of the lines that Eagle throws and some of the things that he can do. When you're out there and you're playing around and you've got someone like Eagle on your card, does it make you, do you think twice after you watch him throw? Like, man, I know what line I was going to go with, but I don't even know what he just saw there. Maybe I could have you, or Eagle, do you ever notice people thinking like they watch you like, oh my God, this kid's 22. He just threw it over that tree. I'm going to throw it over that tree. And then they don't come close to throwing it over that tree.
I like to see them try.
I think I'm smart enough not to try most of the time. I don't really, if I'm playing with, there's been a couple different times where I've gotten the honor of playing a card with Simon, Eagle, and Macbeth, and it's always a fun time, and I just kind of bring a lot of high fives and try to do what I do, and usually I can stay pretty competitive just by playing the way I play, but no, I'm not likely to change my game plan based on one of the most talented throwers I've ever seen. All three of those guys. If
might
they
be able to trick you with a roller or something.
Maybe, yeah. But even then, I know what I'm messing with a guy who can really get that roller out there. So I pretty much, all of us kind of have our game plan pretty locked in. I think by the time you get to the tournament, unless it gets super windy or something really weird is going on, then that's the only time when you kind of would consider trying something different than what you've been practicing, I think.
Hey guys, if you're anything like me, when you're out there on the course, you're not laying it up. And now you can let everybody know with your very own Running It with Nate Sexton t-shirt, brought to you by our friends at VII Apparel CO. VII Apparel CO, formerly the Savage Apparel Company, is the official apparel partner of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They have the official jersey partner of Joe Mez Pro, and they're the official jersey partner of our host, Nate Sexton. And now you can get your very own Running It with Nate Sexton shirt at VIIapparel.co. VII Apparel is the home of all your disc golf apparel for when you're out on the course. They represent disc golfers like Nate Sexton, Chris Dickerson, Avery Jenkins, Madison Walker, and so many more. Home of the Disc Golf Pro Shop, where you can start your own disc golf apparel line with VII. VIIapparel.co is your one-stop company for all your custom apparel needs. They do it all, from screen printing and embroidery, a great partner for tournaments, clubs, or teams. VII Apparel CO creates the best jerseys in disc golf. Make sure you check out VIIapparel.co to see all of their other offerings as well. Grab your first edition Running It with Nate Sexton t-shirt Get your pre-order in now at VIIapparel.co. Well, I think the last thing before we let you go, Eagle, is something I've been interested in. How's the new plastic feeling for you? Obviously, you guys got your own thing going now. You're popping out your own new discs. They're a little different. Are you adjusting well to the new molds and the new feels?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Being able to throw discs made exclusively by your company and know what the future holds is very enticing, because for those who don't know, Discmania used to essentially, kind of have other companies make their disc for them. So our main manufacturer was Innova. And, that whole relationship was incredible. And without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. But at a certain point, there's only so far we can grow. And now that, we're our own manufacturer, that allows us to essentially make as many discs as we want, and also make some more unique style discs, and it allows me to have a lot more input to what I like. So it was in July last year where we made this announcement, and pretty much as soon as we had discs ready to go. So I started putting with the new P2. I had the new DD3 in the bag. That's the one I threw the 700 feet. New MD3, the new plastic with the Tactic. So it's all in my bag right now, and I think it flies really great. The durability is awesome, and I haven't had any issues adapting to it.
I feel like you've never had any issues adapting. You've always been a really early adopter. Whenever Discmania came out with some new stuff, I remember you always had that. Like, you had those Chinese-made ones in the bag right away. You're always really good at finding a use for something new, because pretty much all the discs are useful in their own way. With a good thrower, you can find a line with almost anything.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much any disc has a use.
Well, yeah, man, I just want to say I got a ton of respect for you. You continue to be wise beyond your years. I wish you the best this upcoming season and beyond, and I'm looking forward to getting out there and sharing that first tee with you, and seeing some of those new tricks you're bringing out for us.
Well, hopefully I can get them going pretty soon.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much, man, and have a good night. We really appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Eagle. Well, Nate, I get excited about every single episode, like I said in the beginning, man, but I was really pumped about having Eagle on, and I think you mentioned it a few times, and I brought it up too, but, he doesn't get mentioned with the young guys. They mention him with all the veterans, and it's because he's been around for a while, but I don't think we've seen his best golf yet.
No chance, I think. I mean, if he can stay healthy, which by all accounts he should, he works hard, as he made clear. I think certainly you're going to see him kind of ascending into that number one rated player in the world, maybe by 5 or 6 points at some point in the next 3 to 4 years. That wouldn't surprise me much. Obviously there's going to be challengers. There always will. But man, he's a smart guy. He's a talented guy, a hard worker. Hard to bet against him continuing to push this game forward.
Yeah, and his throws are just scary, and it's God-given or whatever you want to call it, but you just can't teach somebody to throw 700.
Oh, if I knew how, I would have taught number one first. I would have taught yours truly first, and so I don't know how.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it, and it should be exciting, as you mentioned. You guys should be on the card together at Las Vegas with the last 4 winners. So get a chance to get out there and play with him right away. I'm sure it's fun for you, but it's also got to be gotta go play against Eagle right off the beginning, huh?
I don't think of it that way. They don't design too many holes that I can't birdie, so he could go higher spike hyzer or whatever, and he might get some ego looks, which is awesome because that's just exciting for everybody. But it's not like, if they start designing courses, which they kind of did at the Portland Open, but if you start to design courses that I can't get birdies, then I might be mad. but as long as I can still reach the greens in regulation and have a putt, I can compete with anybody.
Hey, he might be the eagle, but you still got the Firebird.
Hey,
So,
true.
You know, it goes both ways. So, another awesome episode. Really looking forward to some of the awesome guests that we have lined up for some more of these episodes. Having a lot of fun getting disc golf content out during the off season. Although, like I know we talked about earlier, you get to actually get out and play. I just have to sit at home and watch Joe Mez and wait for the season to get started or the snow to melt, whichever comes first here. So, looking forward to Las Vegas, counting down to it every single day. Are you starting to get a little more serious with your preparation now as we're getting closer?
I'm starting to feel that itch in a major way, but I'm still pushing a stroller every single round that I go out to play. So
does Big Germ.
Yeah, true. But there's nobody talking to him. Well, and I love it, but yeah, definitely feeling like I need to block out some time to get serious about some aspects of my game and get everything polished up and ready to go for those bright lights in Las Vegas.
Yeah, always a fun tournament. So eyeing down the beginning of the regular season, but in the meantime, you guys can stick right here with us running it at Nate Sexton. We'll keep cranking out awesome disc golf content for you. Guys, remember to check out our sponsors. It means a lot to us, means a lot to the show. Plus, you guys are disc golf fans. We're just giving you guys cool discounts to go get stuff that you're going to get anyway. So thank you again to all of our sponsors on the show here. Nate, we had Eagle on. He goes through a crazy regimen. He's out there. He's training hard. He's getting ready. There's no time for laying it up.
Only in the perfect moment. But a lot of times you just got to run.
Got to run it. Guys, till next time, he's Nate Sexton. I'm Jarett Orr. We are out of time. We'll see you guys next week.